For example, I'm an Hispanic man. Could I decide I was an Asian man?
Republican Senator Ted Cruz was caught searching for his name on Twitter during the confirmation hearing for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, this is just amazing. It proves that Ted Cruz does everything for attention. And as you're going to see from these clips, clearly that's what this is about for him. So I've only been able to watch this hearing in clips because once I tune in, I see a jackass like Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley or Lindsey Graham sprout some nonsense, and there's only so much nonsense I could take before, my head explodes. So I'm going to show you here a series of clips from Ted Cruz, and also actually later in this video, I'm going to show you another Republican during this hearing calling out Ted Cruz's jackassery. So before I get there, here is Ted Cruz being a jackass.
For example, I'm an Hispanic man. Could I decide I was an Asian man? Critical race theory. Why are you not allowing her to answer the question? There's not another senator here that you've not allowed her to answer the question.
Can stand in for a judge's entire record.
Okay, but I'm discussing every one of the cases. So if you're not going to explain it,
Senator, would you please let her respond?
No, not if she's not going to answer my
Well, if
question.
you're just-
Critical race theory. Do you agree with this book that is being taught with kids that babies are racist? Question. You can bang it as loud as you want.
Well, I can just tell you, at some point you have to follow the rules.
Okay, will you let her answer the question? Or it's here is the
Chairman,
letter.
I know
ask unanimous consent to be admitted to the record.
I know the junior senator from Texas likes to get on television, but most of us have been here a long time trying to follow the rules.
And that was just a taste of Ted Cruz's insufferable bullshit. I'm going to get to Ben Sasse calling this out. Again, a colleague, a Republican, calling Ted Cruz out, though not as directly as Leahy did at the end there, but it's clear, as you'll see, who Ben Sasse is talking about. But so before I even get to Ted Cruz being caught searching his name during this, right after the exchange he had with Dick Durbin, that's when he apparently was searching his name on Twitter. So before I get there, I'll get there quickly, but first I want to show you this. The one positive thing that may have come out of Ted Cruz being a buffoon. Ted Cruz may have just boosted sales for the anti-racist children's book he attacked. So you saw it in one of the clips there. He was talking about, can a baby be racist? He was talking about some book. I don't pretend to understand how these people think, what they are doing. A lot of it is just pure, I was going to say dog whistles, but at this point, the whistles are gone. So a lot of it is just being overtly racist. Hey, you talked about race once, so you must be racist against white people. That's how these morons operate, or these racists operate. But this book, #1 bestseller now, so good. The one positive thing to come out of Ted Cruz being a jackass. Let's go now to this amazing, amazing story. So this is Nolan D. McCaskill, LA Times congressional reporter, tweeting out here, Ted Cruz looks like he's checking his mentions after his back and forths with KBJ and Durbin. He's had his head down during all of Cruz's testimony, even as Sasse and Tillis are clearly listening to their Democratic colleague and the nominee before them. So you see here, Ted Cruz looking at his phone. Ben Sasse appears to maybe be giving side-eye here, or it could just be a coincidence. But now let's get to photojournalist Kent Nishimura, LA Times photojournalist, saying, can confirm this. He was searching Twitter for his name. This was right after his exchange with Chairman Durbin. So it's unclear if he's doing that in this photo because, I think there's likely some rules that can't outright just show you the senators' phones and what they're looking at. But he saw him searching his name on Twitter. Absolutely amazing. This proves Ted Cruz. I mean, we know this already, but this proves Ted Cruz does all of this for attention. That's all he cares about. He's looking for, these clips to get out there. He's looking to, get on Tucker and it's all about ego. And it's obvious from just how fake Ted Cruz is. The performances that he puts on. He is so incredibly overbearing, grandiose, insufferable. I'm amazed that anybody can walk into a voting booth and vote for Ted Cruz after seeing him in any clip. Like on the news once, you should be able to recognize how much of a phony this man is. But Somehow he's a senator in Texas. Now, let me get to, actually, before I get to Ben Sass, it reminded me of this story. Ted Cruz, this was from 2018. Ted Cruz caught sneaking a peek at his opponent's photo, and Twitter pounces. So this is when he was faced off against Beto O'Rourke in Texas. He was caught, if you zoom into that picture, you will see Beto O'Rourke. He was caught on a plane looking at pictures of Beto O'Rourke. Now, again, to me, this shows you that he's very obsessed with image. And, I'm not sure what his intention here was when looking at photos of Beto O'Rourke. But it goes to show you that, when it comes to what Ted Cruz cares about, it's all about image. It's all about ego, all about performance. He doesn't care at all about the average person. That's why he flew to Cancun when his state was frozen. So, again, there are countless examples of how little Ted Cruz cares about people, including his own family. After Trump called his wife ugly, he went ahead and endorsed Trump. Like, there's endless examples like this. Ted Cruz is just the ultimate jackass. Now, let's get to Ben Sass. So here's Ben Sass right after Ted Cruz speaking on how he does not support cameras in the Supreme Court. And then he goes into a conversation about what cameras do when they are on you.
I think I differ from a lot of my colleagues on this who are advocates for cameras in the courtroom. I get their position that transparency is a virtue. Transparency is a good thing. I also believe that pen and pad can facilitate a whole heck of a lot of transparency just fine. And it's healthy for Americans to recognize the second and third and fourth order effects of cameras. A huge part of why this institution doesn't work well is because we have cameras everywhere. Cameras change human behavior. We know this. You don't have the same kinds of conversation over the dinner table with your family when you're wrestling through issues and apologizing for something and saying, I said this before, but maybe I should modify what I said. My tone was jerky. My substance didn't account for your position. There's a whole bunch of things that humans can do if they're not immediately mindful of some distant camera audience that they might be trying to create a soundbite for. And Instagram can be useful for some small things, but for intellectual discourse, it is not a friend. And I think we should recognize that the jackassery we often see around here is partly because of people mugging for short-term camera opportunities.
I think that was pretty clearly about Ted Cruz. It was shortly after Cruz's performance. He goes on there about the jackassery. And look, this is a rare moment where a Republican lawmaker has gotten me to think about an issue a little differently. Before, if he would have asked me, do you support having cameras in the courtroom or cameras in the Supreme Court? I would think, yeah, sure, more transparency. What's the downside? But he's right. When cameras are on you, especially if you're a politician, a lot of these people are there to simply, appeal to the camera. They're there for the sound bites. They're there to get that attention because that's what they use in their next election. So without that there, you have people a little more free to act the way they would normally act, express themselves in the way that they would normally express themselves, and not do it for the cameras. So Ben Sass making a good point there, in addition to calling Ted Cruz essentially a jackass, also welcomed. So anyways, I hope Ketanji Brown Jackson is confirmed. She is fantastic. As I did a video when she was when Biden first announced his pick, that I was surprised that he had picked her over some of the other more conservative choices that he had in front of him. So out of the choices that were laid out, Ketanji Brown Jackson was definitely the best choice in front of him. And let's hope everything works out in spite of all this tomfoolery or jackassery going on.